Some major changes coming for drone owners. The government is announcing some new drone rules after a series of dangerous incidents over the past year, from threats to the White House to close calls with airplanes.
Kris Van Cleave joins us from Washington. Kris, what kind of rules will the Department of Transportation announce?
Well, Vlad and Elaine, good morning. They are talking about drones that hobbyists use, the drones that people buy and fly for fun instead of the consumer or the commercial ones that say Amazon is looking at flying. And the new rules here are basically going to be, there's going to be some kind of a registration requirement where the government is going to require drone users to register, perhaps at the point of purchase, their drone, so that there's information as to who the drone belongs to. They also plan to form a task force to help them implement this process, because the goal is to have it in place by the holiday season. And of course, this comes as there is mounting concerns about a drone and an aircraft colliding in midair. In fact, just last week, the industry, we've got now the new rules here, and this is the response from the industry here, saying that it's taken the industry by surprise, this drone registration requirement. One person we talked to, who's the executive director of the Small UAV Coalition, called it a knee-jerk reaction with an arbitrary timeline. That timeline, trying to have this up and running by the holiday season. Of course, drones are expected to be a hot holiday item this year. Just last week, the FAA told Congress they've seen the number of reports by pilots who have sighted drones increase roughly tenfold compared to last year. So there are a lot more reports of drones operating in airspace that's typically reserved for commercial aircraft, and that's one of the factors that's really changed how the FAA and the Department of Transportation has looked at this. They've been considering a registration requirement since August. That's when the Secretary of Transportation, Anthony Foxx, told us here at CBS first that they were looking at this, and that comes after more than a dozen incidents where wildfire operations had to be suspended out west because drones flew into airspace where water-dropping aircraft were operating in. We've seen incidents of drones showing up, crashing into the White House or near the White House, as well as operating around airports. So there's a growing sense of concern here. And one of the challenges is, even if they recover a drone, there's no way to know who the drone belongs to right now. It'd be akin to me dropping something on the street. I keep walking, you find it a few minutes later. You have no way to know how to even get it back to me if you wanted to. So this is an effort to, at the very least, reach out, have to be able to track back a drone to somebody. You know, it's unclear if this really makes a difference to prevent somebody from using it for nefarious means. You know, if you've got somebody who is looking to conduct a terror operation with a drone, unclear if the registration will do anything for that. But certainly for the average user, this is a way to keep track of who owns what.
And Kris, for the average user, how does the Department of Transportation expect to enforce these new rules?
You know, that is an excellent question, and at this point, that's really not at all clear, Vlad. You know, is there going to be like a drone police? How are they going to do it, particularly for the drones that have already been purchased? You know, it's one thing to say, if you're buying this today, you have to fill out a form with some information. It's a whole other thing that if I already own a drone, how are you going to get me to register it after the fact? You know, I mean, think about all of those warranty cards when you buy a microwave or anything else. How often do you fill those out?
Right, a lot of unanswered questions still. Kris Van Cleave in Washington for us. Kris, thanks.
Sure thing.